Good afternoon. It is Elizabeth here. It is tasty. Yes, Tuesday. It is beautiful with where I am at. Where are you tuning in from? Let me know if you're catching this live or on the replay. I'm just going to do a quick check here to see if I'm online. Let's hope that Facebook is playing nice with us. Yeah? Let's see. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Awesome. It looks like I'm on. Well, I'm really excited to be talking to you today. In this week's episode, we are going to be talking about how do you find your perfect clients in your audience online. If you are watching this, how many of you have been there sitting behind your desk wondering, what the heck are all my ideal customers online? How many of you have been there? I'm so guilty, right? I just want to make sure that I'm on. Say hello if you are watching this. Let me know where you are tuning in from. So in today's episode, I want to share with you how you can avoid some of these common mistakes that most people make when they're looking for their leads online. All right. If you can click above StreamYard.com/Facebook, that will let me know who is watching. All right. So someone says yes. This person says yes. All right. So hang out with me here. I got a lot of goodies lined up for you, as well as some tips that I want to share with you with where you can find your perfect clients online. Are you ready for that? If you are ready, type ready into the comments. Let me know that you're present, right? I show up once a week to give to my community free trainings on marketing strategy, positioning, commanding higher prices, sales, to really help you grow your business, right? And so if you and I have not had a chance to meet, I am Elizabeth, the Customer Yes Business Strategist. What makes my business coaching really unique? I am all about leading with the human connection to differentiate yourself online to command higher prices. I spend a little bit more time getting very clear on helping you find your ideal customer. Why? Because I teach my students and clients to focus on the MVP, the most valuable paying customer. It's not just about the ideal customer, it's the most valuable paying one. Why? Because we only hit our sales goals in two ways: volume and pricing. And I'm all about getting to your sales goals faster, commanding higher prices. Why? Because I'm all about working with the right customers, quality over quantity. And that's what I'm all about. So if I can serve you in any way, let me know. And at any point in time, you want the handout to my notes that I'm talking about today, be sure to type handouts into the comments, and my team will get you out a link to grab my notes for today's episode. Got it? All right. So why does it matter to you about trying to find your business, your ideal perfect customers online? Yes, we want those happy sales in our business, right? But that's not why this matters. Okay. When you can figure out where the perfect clients are hanging out online, it does two things for you. When you get really clear on your ideal clients, right? You then understand at a much deeper level, folks, what their questions and pain points are. I often teach my customers and my clients inside of the Customer Yes Lab the difference between problems and pain. And when you know and get very clear with who your dreamy clients and customers are, you know their deepest pain points. So, what is a problem versus a pain point? The short version is, for example, you might know that you need to lose weight. That's a big problem. Okay. But it has not yet become a pain point until, let's say, you're about to get married and 6 to 12 months from now, you need to look fabulous for your wedding day. All of a sudden now, that problem becomes a pain point. Makes sense? Or all of a sudden, your health condition, you go in to get to see the doctor and you've been diagnosed with pre-diabetes. Now that problem becomes a pain. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, type pain into the comments so that I know that you're with me. See, you might be hearing a lot of marketers say, oh, just go out there and solve a problem, solve a problem. But folks, problems isn't the problem. People don't pay for problems to get solved. They pay for when there's a pain point. That's when the sense of urgency comes in because they know it's a pain. And when they know it's a pain and your marketing is tight and you are positioning yourself as the leader, that the go-to number one expert that knows the way, shows the way, and can really be the way, when there's urgency and there's a pain point and you're so crisp and clear with your messaging and marketing all along, guess what? They're going to say yes to you. Because what you need to do is get clear on your ideal clients so that you really understand the questions they have in their head and the pain problems that they're going through, the pain points, so that you can position yourself as the number one go-to expert with the right product and service to meet their needs. This is true across the board, whether you're selling stickers on Etsy, whether you're selling makeup on e-commerce, whether you're a coach, consultant, or a realtor. This, my friend, is really what marketing is all about. And so hang on for just a second. I'll share with you some of my tips, questions that I want you to really ask yourself and dig into in order to really understand, like, how do I find the perfect clients online? They are online. People that are telling you that, oh, I don't do Facebook, I'm not on social media, that's a lie. They are on social media. The question is just which platform, right? Which groups are they hanging out with? Which threads are they hanging out with? In today's world, you cannot not be on social media, right? Maybe you're not on TikTok, you're just on Facebook. Maybe you're not on Facebook, you're on Instagram. Your ideal customer is online, period. No excuses. People want to say, oh, I don't like social media. Well, guess what? It's one of those things. It's a necessity, right? People are online. The second reason why you want to be able to get really clear on finding where your ideal, dreamy, perfect clients and audience is hanging out online is so that you can get quick return for paid traffic. When you start to know things that they like, hobbies that they're into, who they follow online, you can start to take your social media ad traffic and start to target it towards them. Now, if you're not there yet, that's okay. You can still generate leads organically, right? Organically just means no paid ads, right? I always say that when you're looking to grow and drive traffic for your business, you got two options: time or money. Either you spend money to pay for ads or you spend time to go and find out where they're hanging out. Does that make sense? So if you want notes to this, sit tight. We're about to go in, okay? So let's dive right in. Let's dive right in to the first question that I want you to ask yourself, okay? How do you begin to find your audience, your perfect client online? I often say that if you want to be noticed by your MVP, your most valuable paying customer, you've got to notice them first. Folks, in business, in sales, happy sales, it is about trust. And you've got to give first. If you want your dreaming clients to notice you, you've got to notice them. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions. I got 10 of them for you, but for today's training, I'm just going to hone in on the top 3 that I think will add value for you. And if you want my notes at any point in time, hit handout into the comments and my team will get that out to you. Okay. So first question that I want you to ask yourself, are you ready for this? If you are, send me some fire so that I know that you're here. What Facebook group do they hang out in? This seems like a really simple duh question, but I want you just to take a moment here to really ask yourself, where do they hang out in, right? Some people will tell you that they don't even hang out, right? They're not even on social media. That's not true. They may not be frequent users of social media, but part of, they are online. So the first question I want you to ask yourself is, what group do they hang out in? You're like, Elizabeth, I don't know. This is where you literally go into Facebook and you do a search for groups and you walk into your ideal customer's shoes and you're like, what would be the search term that they would use to search a group? And then you join a couple of them and you just check out the vibe and the culture of the group. I want you to think of Facebook groups. Don't cringe, don't hate me for this, okay? But I really want you to think of Facebook group like a networking event. What do you do when you go to a networking event? You know you got to go. I mean, I'm sure you would rather be watching Netflix, right? Instead of going to a networking event. But when you go to these networking events in person, don't you mingle with people? It's a little uncomfortable. You're talking about maybe some things that are a little surface level, right? How's the weather today, y'all? Right? Facebook groups are the same thing. I want you to approach it like an in person networking event where you go in and you're mingling. You're going in and you're actually, reading, people's posts and looking to add value. So here's a quick tip for you. Go into a Facebook group where you think it's okay if you're completely wrong. Just spend this for maybe, 3 days, not 3 days straight, but maybe 30 minutes for 3 days to see if they're the right vibe. I mean, it's just like going to a networking event. You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know if this event is going to generate leads for you. You don't know if this event is going to lead to a sale, right? So why not use the same mindset and approach Facebook groups the same way? So here's a quick tip for you, okay? And if you are watching this, please help out some of our users and type this into the comments, okay? Tip 1, sort to most recent inside of the Facebook group and comment there. Even if that thread has nothing to do with your expertise, you're starting chit chat. You're starting a conversation with another person. Just like in a networking event, when you go up to a person and you start talking with them, you have no idea what they do for a living. You have no idea if they're ready to buy your products or services, do you? But you go up to them and you're chit chatting, right? You're just having a conversation. Inside of these Facebook groups, it is the same thing. You are simply having a conversation. It's not about sales. It's about building relationships, human connection to see if, hey, you and I, do we jive? Can we do a follow up coffee or not? Right? Just like when you go to a networking event, do not overanalyze this, folks. You know I'm talking to you. Do not overanalyze this. Go into those 3 or 4 Facebook groups, search for most recent, and simply have a conversation, even if they have nothing to do with what you do, right? So if they're talking about, I don't know, their dog and you don't have a dog, right? You can still add value to that conversation. You can say something like, "Oh, I've been thinking about getting a dog. What's your dog and what would you recommend?" Right? Like you can still add value to the conversation. The goal here, folks, is to be able to network online and get to know people. And just in those back and forth conversations, you're going to start to know if they're for you or not. And then you move on to the next like person, right? Just like at a networking event, you don't sit there and chat with this person for 30, 45 minutes. Maybe it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Then you go and you meet other people, right? It is the same thing here, folks. This is what I'm talking about. All right. If you want your dreamy clients to notice you, you've got to notice them first. This is a give, folks. This is a give and take. It is not all about taking here, folks. It's a give. And I want you to think about your Facebook groups as a networking event that you would go to. You would still go online, Google those networking events, buy a ticket, sign up, figure out if it's an event that you want to go to, right? This is the same thing, just now online, folks. So that's the first tip I got for you. All right. The second question that I want you to ask yourself, where do they actually shop and what is it that they buy? Hmm. This one is really key. You might be thinking to yourself, well, I don't know what this has to do with social media. I'm a service provider. Maybe I'm a coach or consultant. Why do I need to know where they shop and what they buy? Why do you think you need to know where they shop and why they buy? It's all about your positioning. And this is a very good clue to getting into their purchasing and pricing behaviors. You know, I'm a geek for neuroscience. I had over 10 years in corporate America working in market research and product innovation and understanding how customers, people make decisions to buy. I'll give you an example why this is so important, okay? Depending on what you're selling and your niche and how you're positioning yourself, where do they shop? Are they a Walmart shopper, a Target shopper, or a Nordstrom shopper? Hmm. All three of those different types of stores speak volumes to maybe their budget, to their spending patterns, right? If you know that your ideal perfect client loves shopping at high end department stores like Nordstrom, clearly they have the financial means to be able to do that. And if you are priced too low, they will look at your product and service and they will assume, just based on pricing, that it's a cheap product or it's lower in value. And you would have already lost the sale before you even started just based on your low pricing. People make decisions like this, right? On the opposite spectrum, right? If they're Walmart shoppers and you keep trying to attract Walmart shoppers, what is Walmart known for? Low prices, right? And then here you are positioning yourself, your product or service, right, as a high end, high ticket price point. The odds are they're never going to buy, right? So now you have this product and price that's priced higher, but your messaging is like saying, Walmart shopper, bargain shopper. And here you are up here. And then you're like, oh my God, nobody wants to buy. When it's not even about your product or service, it's just all about your positioning, right? If this is making sense to you, let me know in the comments and say, makes sense. Makes sense. Do you know where your ideal customer is shopping and what they're buying? Right? So, how can you start to ask this question? How do you start to create market research around this? Right? There's a couple of ways inside your Facebook groups, not yours, but other people's groups. You can ask questions, right? Depending on what you're selling, or you can ask a question related to that. If you're a health coach, you might ask a random question to inside of that other people's Facebook group or your own. Where do you shop for health products? What's your favorite place to shop for health products? Right? Why would you recommend health product A over health product B? These are all really great engagement questions that are posed as engagement questions, but they're really market research questions, right? And so these are just quick ways to do that. And yeah, if you can get someone to jump on a call with you, even better, right? But what you're looking to understand is their preferences. Where do they go and shop? How much do they pay for the last item? I often teach my students and clients that their last financial purchase is a good indication, especially if you're high end, like the way I teach my clients, especially if you're a high ticket, is going to be a fairly good predictor of whether or not they're going to spend with you. This isn't always 100% true, But what you're looking for is, did they make the financial investment in themselves? If who someone seems like they're your ideal customer, but in talking with them, you learn that all they ever get are freebies, and the most expensive investment they made in themselves is a book, right? And they haven't ever done coaching before, that's going to be a really tricky sale. I'm not saying that I haven't converted, right? People who just bought courses and like all of a sudden invested in working with me, like all of a sudden it just happened. But someone who's only invested in books and not courses yet, they don't really get it. And the odds are they're not going to invest in a high ticket coaching program. They kind of have to go around the block a couple of times, spin and swirl, try those courses and get barely any results before they start to like realize they need to invest more for better information and transformation, right? So that's really the key here. Okay. So let's see. Oh, I got my question number 3 that I want you to ask yourself, right? Let me just write my notes here. What's their most popular organization or association that they would join, right? Why is this so important? Why is this so important? Because when you start to think about trying to pay for ads to get traffic, you want to start understanding where are they going to get information from, let's say, a perceived professional body or entity. Like, where do they turn to get information? We know that we often ask our friends and families for advice, but when they start turning to organizations or associations, it's almost like shifting from Wikipedia to the Oxford Dictionary, right? It's like the quality of information on Wikipedia is very different than, Oxford, right? Like, that's what I'm going for here, folks. It's like there's tons of free information out here, but what you want to start to look at is, where do they go for the most popular, like, for information, for more highly trusted quality information, their organizations or associations that they would turn to. So, for example, if you are in health and your ideal customer might need health information, they might turn to Mayo Clinic as a source of health information that they truly trust versus asking for random health advice in a Facebook group, right? So, hi there, Kajwa. If you're watching this, say hello. I love it. And I see Gold here was helping out with some of our community members with some of the notes here, right? So let me know where you're tuning in from, whether it is on the live or the replay, right? But this is really where you want to start knowing, where are they turning for their trustworthy news information, right? This is huge because oftentimes Facebook groups as a source of information are just like word of mouth referrals, but it's really informal and it's almost like entertainment, right? It's a little bit lighthearted. Whereas when people start looking at professional or popular organizations or associations, they're starting to go towards more trusted information. And what I would recommend here, right, without diagnosing, is really understanding why they would turn to those organizations and associations for sources of information. Why that information and not the free stuff, like the freebies and the Facebook groups, the YouTube channels, and things like that, right? So, who here? Hello, hello. Look, we got people saying hi, our community members saying hi to each other. I love it. So, those are just 3 really critical questions that I want you to ask yourself, because if you can find the answers to just those 3 questions, this is how you start to find your audience online. And I know if you're sitting there, you're like, oh, Elizabeth, I thought you were going to give me something so much easier, like there's a button and I can just click. Sorry to disappoint you, but it doesn't work that way. If you want your dreaming clients to notice you, you've got to notice them first. All right. So, how many of you would love to grab the rest of my 10 questions guide and would love some help in helping you understand how to find your perfect clients online by auditing your business activities and helping you just make sense of it all to cut through the clutter, right? Yeah, there's just no shortcut for research. I love that, Gold. There is no shortcut. You got to do the research. There are quick and easy and fast ways of doing that, but you can't bypass it. You just can't because you got to spend the time, folks. You got to spend the time to really notice what their problems are, their pain points, so that you really understand all the questions that are going on in their head so you can create content and marketing and messaging around that. I love it, Gold. I love it. That's a great insight. So let's talk about here are some quick tips, right? I'll give you one. And if you would love some help with this, my team's going to drop in the comments here a link to book a strategy call with me. And what we're going to do is you're going to get my business customer value audit workbook, as well as my all the 10 questions that I didn't get a chance to share today because we're short on time, but I shared 3 of the 10 on how to find your perfect person online. I'm going to just click here, right? And what you're going to get after our boost strategy call is you're going to get an audit plan. You're like, ooh, that does not sound like sexy, Elizabeth, but I'm going to keep it real with you. The audit plan is going to help you make sense of everything that you're doing in your business, from social media posts to your operations, to your marketing, to your sales, to your nurturing in your Facebook group. Like, what are all those activities that you're doing in your business? And is it helping you attract and convert and find your leads online? Let's get really clear here, folks. Let's stop wasting time and learning through trial and error and take the guesswork out. Right? I don't want you wasting countless hours because if you're trying to make sense of your business activities while trying to find your leads online, you're going to be steps further away from sales. All right. So here's what I want you to do. Okay. So my team just dropped here in the comments, boostcalls.elizabethyang.biz. Find my leads online. You can grab that here. I'll post it in the comments above. And all you got to do is book a call with me to save your spot, right? And you have until Sunday in 5 days to book this call with me for this rate. Okay. And here's what our game plan is going to be all about. I'm going to get you my business value customer audit workbook. You're going to do a brain dump of everything that's going on in your business right now. Okay. Then you're going to book a strategy call with me. Okay. And I'm going to ask you to send me this workbook so I can dig through it. I love getting into the details and then talking strategy. And then after our call, you're going to get an audit plan that's personalized to you specifically, right? Cutting through the BS here, folks, so that you can take immediate action. Because what do I keep saying to you? Results happen in the doing. And the faster that you get really clear about what's working for you, what isn't, right? What questions you might have about market research, what questions you might have about finding your perfect ideal clients and leads online. We're going to build that personalized audit plan for you. No guessing. Just stick to the plan. Like I often say, right? I hate working out. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So I hire a trainer and he just tells me what to do. He just tells me what to do. 3 sets of 10 push-ups. Do it. Boom. Okay, move on. Like that's what I need because I just don't have time. And it's not something that I ideally would do for fun, right? So this is the link, right? So if you want to book this with me, you have until Sunday at this rate to book this strategy call with me. This is what I call a boost call, right? It's all about the doing, folks. I'm all about the doing, okay? All about the doing. So who's excited for this? If you're excited for this, drop me some fire in the comments, right? Because I don't want you just to show up, folks, and just get tips and learn, right? Like all of that is great. But when do results happen? It happens in the doing. If you're able to take my tips and implement it in your business immediately, awesome. But I can tell you that most people will take this information, process it, store it in the back of their brain, and they'll say, oh, I'll get to it one day. And folks, that is why sales don't happen, because you got to be focused on what is it that I need to do in my business to grow it, to streamline it, right? To save myself time so that I can get to steps closer to happy, happy, happy sales, right? So here's gold. Yep, results happen when you do it. You don't get momentum if all that knowledge is still in your brain. It doesn't do you any good, right? So here is gold. Send me some fire. Thank you, gold. All right. So if you want to go ahead and book this strategy call, get my workbook, right? Get the rest of the 10 questions here, the guide to finding your perfect people, your perfect clients online, grab this like now. Okay. The first 5 people, you're going to get a private follow up from me in 2 weeks because I want to make sure that you have plenty of time to execute, to implement, and then tweak. That's the way I roll, right? Like we've got to constantly be iterating and looking at our game plan and saying what worked, what didn't, what can I do better? That's how we grow. That is how we grow. Who is excited? If you're excited, type excited into the comments. All right. So I'm going to leave you with 2 more quick tips. And if folks, you're watching this, if you can type this into our comments so that our members in our community can catch the clip notes, that would be great. Or you can just type handouts and grab my notes for today. Okay. So, Gajla says, do it. Elizabeth is an overgiver and will give you more than what you paid for. That's true. And I am not feeling guilty at all about being an overgiver, right? Because I know my worth. I tell my clients, right? You know your worth. And when you charge high ticket, you can overpour and overgive into your clients because it's all about quality. It's all about quality. And gold here is excited. We got someone else here who's excited as well. So, all right. So, 2 quick tips, and then we're going to wrap up today's call, right? If you have clients that you love and want more of, right? Those are the people that I want you to kind of hold in your mind as you're thinking about just those 3 quick questions that I shared with you. All right. Think about the clients that you love and want more of, and just really walk in their shoes. I often teach my students the difference between empathy and sympathy, right? Brene Brown does a beautiful job on this. If you want to YouTube, Google her video on this. But empathy is really going down into that hole with where your customers' pain points are and really just being in the moment with them and just really being there and not be that annoying person that doesn't even listen but is offering advice first. Don't be that person. Just truly listen with no thinking about what your solution is. Just pause that for a second and just truly genuinely listen, right? So keep that in mind as you're going through these 3 questions that I just gave you, right? So what do you do if you don't have clients or you only had 1 or 2 of them and they were not your favorite clients, right? The second tip that I'll have for you is start with who you know best, which is you. You. And usually it's you from maybe a few years ago, maybe 3 to 5 years back. Okay. And just really start there and really embrace you maybe 3 to 5 years ago and really understanding what pain points you were going through when you're looking at these questions and really start to think, where were you at? Okay. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, I still shop, right? I still shop the same. I'm like, what's the difference? But depending on what you're selling, your shopping patterns might be different, right? So, for example, clothes as a female, right? When I was in my 20s, I might have shopped at Express. I was a little tinier, different style back then, right? But now that I'm a little older, I don't necessarily shop at Express anymore, right? I might go to more specialized boutique shops because I really don't want to go through the clutter. I just want to go in there, find a couple of cute things, and I go in and out. I just don't have hours shopping like I used to back in my younger days, right? So your shopping patterns do evolve as you get older. And so you really got to challenge yourself to be like, okay, where was I 3 to 5 years ago? And thinking about that in today's sense, okay, so where I was 3 to 5 years ago, what social media platform might it be on? What would I be buying? Where would I go to buy it? Right? So those are just some quick tips to get you started. Answer those 3 questions for you, right? Either adopt and walk in the shoe of your favorite customer, or if you don't have a lot of them or you haven't found one that you absolutely love, like think about you 3 to 5 years ago. Okay. So if you want the notes to my handouts, type handouts and my team will get that out to you. But I really encourage you that if you want me to hold your hand and guide you through how to really personalize this for your business so that you can get to getting clarity about your ideal customers as quickly as possible so that you can start working on your marketing to get to those sales, book a call with me. All right. Take advantage of this. It is going to be, I have gotten phenomenal feedback about the business value audit. People that didn't realize that they were doing all this busy work in their business and had no idea how they were converting clients. They had no idea all this busy work that they were doing in their business, how it was leading the breadcrumbs to get people, their audience, to say yes to them. All right. And so I encourage you until Sunday to book that call with me, grab my workbook. You'll also get all 10 questions to my guide on how to find your perfect client online. And then the first 5, you get a follow up from me so that we can tweak your plan. Know what worked, what didn't, right? That's what we're all about. And I love how Gold wrapped up this perfect way to wrap up the call today, right? Know your worth. Know your worth. When you want those happy sales in your business and those dreamy customers to come to you, right? To be attracted to you, they've got to feel it. They got to feel that you know them. They got to feel like, when you have guests coming into your home and they can feel whether your home is inviting or warm, they've got to feel that from you. And that means that you've got to put in the work to notice who your ideal customers are, understand the questions that are going on in their heads, understand their pain points, sometimes even better than they do, so that when you're putting that into your messaging, your marketing, they're like, she gets me. She gets me. I guarantee you, when you perfect your messaging and your marketing to this way, this is where they start coming in, right? This is where you start attracting and converting. All right. So with that, I'm out. You want the handout for today's notes, type handout into the comments. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and just book. So link to the comments up above. If you want to grab some time with me, let's get doing. Let's cut through the clutter. Let's stop wasting time and let's get clear on who your ideal customers are, where they're hanging out online, so that you can start going out there, drawing them in, and getting closer to those happy sales. All right. So, same place, same time next week. I am going to be talking. What am I talking about next week? I got a couple of different topics lined up. So, this month, I'm going to be talking about how to do your sales pitch. I'm going to be talking about how to sell with the human connection. Those are just some of the topics that I have coming up. So, stay tuned in here inside of the Facebook community, and I will talk to you next week. Take care now. Bye.